Looks like we've got a minute more before we get going here. I'm trying to give everybody a chance to come on into the meeting before we get started. I am going to probably be off camera for most of the meeting so that we can focus on the presentation. There is a lot of information that we've got to cover. So I want to make sure that I move as quickly as possible through it. So I'm gonna turn our attention to the presentation, and I'm going to share a slide that's going to help get us started. It is some information from the yearbook. So if you will turn your attention to that, I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, everyone. So what we have here is just a little announcement from Ms. Smith. She just wanted to make sure that everybody knew about getting their portrait taken for the yearbook. She wanted to make sure that everybody understood what the fees were and how to contact Katie Studio if you need to schedule an appointment to get your yearbook picture taken. As we get further on, I want to make sure that everybody knows that this will be recorded, or it is being recorded, so you can access this information later if needed. There will be a lot of slides to get through, so I want you to try your best to just focus on what I'm explaining. And if you need to, go back to the recording later so that you can reference anything that you need to get a refresher on. All right, so moving into tonight's agenda, we're going to be covering the things that I've got listed here. I am putting this in here so that you will know what's coming up because we are live in the chat. I have several of the counselors that are going to be with us tonight. Can you all hear me, counselors?
Yes, you sound great.
Yes.
Yep, we can hear you.
We're
All
ready
right.
to serve.
Okay, sounds like Ms. Jones. I think I hear Ms. Chilson, and I think I hear Ms. Blunt as well. So they are going to be in the background answering questions as we go. My hope, though, is that you will look at the agenda and look to see if something that you may have questions about is coming, so that we can kind of try to keep the questions along with the presentation. It will make it easier for everyone to be able to get the answer that they might be looking for if it fits what we're discussing. So we're going to talk about the basics for high school, just running back through some things, making sure we're on the same page. Also, the big picture after high school, post-secondary planning, what colleges are looking for. We'll talk about some different factors there, college visits, how that works here at Chattahoochee, as well as going to the college face-to-face. A little bit about paying for college, and that's about financial aid, Hope scholarships, and scholarship in general. And then there's some other important information that we want to go over, like entrance exams, NCAA information. We're going to cover how to apply to college. That is a big process. So we're going to try to break that down and make sure that everybody's on the same page about how that works. We're going to discuss Naviance, which is our major tool for organizing the college application process and sending out documents for that purpose. We're going to talk about what it is, how you find it, and what we do with it. And then we're going to have some closing thoughts about the application process, making sure everybody understands the flow of information regarding college applications, how to get your documents out, what things you should be paying attention to, what things you should be waiting for, and what things you shouldn't be waiting for. And then we're going to talk about some Naviance tips. So we saw how some things played out last year. We want to try to avoid some issues. So I'm going to try to give you some tips that's going to help all of us in this process. And then I will give you an invitation for a senior check-in. So we started that, I think it's 2 years now that we started doing senior check-ins. And that's just an appointment for seniors to be able to meet with their counselors, just to give us a check-in on what you're working on, if you've got some questions, some concerns, so we can give you a little bit of guidance following the meeting that we had last year and your opportunity to start planning for the application process that's going to begin this year. All right, so moving ahead. So let's hop right on into the basics, finishing high school. So we're at our last year of high school. And by this point, I would hope that everybody knows who their counselor is. But just in case, we do have some new families joining us, as well as some new students, of course. So we want to make sure that everybody knows who to reach out to if you do have some questions. Of course, we do separate our students by last name. So it is listed here. I am Curtissa Johnson, if I did not introduce myself earlier. So I have students DAR through HEL, but you see the other counselors listed there, Ms. Chilson, Ms. Fitzsimmons, Ms. Blunt, and Ms. Jones. We also have some other support staff in our counseling office that do a myriad of things. You will probably be hearing from them throughout the year as they work in their respective roles, but you can look up their names if you are just interested in who else is inside of the counseling suite. If you will go to our counseling page, you will find more information there. Okay, so we want to just make sure that we remind you how to stay connected to us. We do have our social media pages. If you are not following us, please do. We are on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we are on Teams, of course, and at this point, all seniors should have been added to their counselors' teams, and you will begin to see announcements coming through after this meeting, meaning next week. You will begin to see announcements coming through that are specific to seniors, things that we need you to do, things that the district is asking for you to do, so that we can kind of have a little bit of a closer connection. And then also, as we start to see more and more questions on a given topic, some trends that we want to try to speak on, we will be sending information out. I do also want to take this moment every time we get a chance to remind parents that you need to be in Infinite Campus. Some parents have not had to really check on their kids the entire time they've been in high school, but I will tell you, if you've not had a senior, sometimes that senior year is a different animal. So I really would encourage you to just make sure that you have logged into your Infinite Campus portal. You go ahead and put your alerts on for grades, attendance, and that this is also a place where you can get other documents. This is where you signed off on the user agreement inside of the Infinite Campus portal for your device. So I just want to make sure that everybody remembers, please, please, please go into that portal. Make sure that you are setting up your notifications so that we can try to support these seniors as they go through their last year of school. Another announcement I want to make is that we have a new place on our chatcougar.com website for seniors to have information listed. That is the senior information and graduation tab that is on the website. You get there by going to chatcougar.com, then clicking on students and families, and then clicking on senior information down to the bottom. So this is where you will find information related to like graduation, pictures, anything that's related to the seniors they're going to post in that particular area. We do get questions throughout the year about things related to seniors. The counselors are not specifically in charge of the activities that the seniors do, but oftentimes we get asked those questions. So we want to make sure that we let everybody know where they can find the information. It should be posted there. All right, so really quickly, graduation requirements. I just want to remind everybody, we do intend for everybody to graduate this year, but just so that we're all on the same page, remember, you have to have 23 credits to graduate, and you have to have them in specific areas. We have listed them above. Included in that included in that, I would draw your attention to the personal fitness waiver. We do have some athletes who would qualify for a waiver, but actually have not done their waiver form. Being in a sport for 1 year qualifies you for the waiver. And that's if you are in a Georgia high school athletic sport, that would qualify you for a waiver. But if you don't actually submit the form, then you have not gotten the waiver on your transcript. And that is what we need to see, is the waiver on the transcript. So you can actually check your documents or check your transcript in the documents area of Infinite Campus to see if you have that personal fitness waiver. Remember, that's also for marching band too. I left that out there, out of that first thing I said. But you can check to see if you have that personal fitness waiver. If you know you've never taken the class, you're like, okay, I play football, so I should have the waiver, but I'm not sure if I do. Please go onto your transcript to check to see if you see personal fitness waive. That's how you know that the waiver has been submitted. If it has not, you need to go ahead and get on that immediately. You very well might be scheduled for personal fitness if you do not have that waiver in place. So there may be some of you that may know that there is a new waiver coming. There is a new waiver coming. It is a little more, it's broader in the requirements, but that waiver is not fully in process just yet. And so we are awaiting it. Until then, the rules that we've had over the past, I don't know how many years, at least 6-7 years now, the rules that we've had for how you qualify for the waiver, that is still in place, and that is what we will be using to qualify students for the personal fitness waiver. If you are looking for the waiver, you can find it on the front page of the chatcougar.com website down to the bottom. Okay, so this looks like I got serious real quick. I just want to remind people about the grade point average versus numeric average. This is going to kind of help us kind of turn our discussion to some of the post-secondary planning stuff. We have talked about this just about every year that the students have been in high school, that we report numerically. We do not report the GPA, which is the grade point average. However, the closer we get to this college application process and the more you get into it, the more you start looking at scholarships, the more you're going to see GPA listed. We do not report in that manner. However, you will find that colleges will do a formula that will turn your numeric average into a grade point average. So they will be going grade by grade and they will be doing a conversion to create a GPA for you. So also institutions like Georgia Student Finance Commission will also be doing that conversion. So you'll want to, as now that you are getting closer to the application process, you'll want to start investigating what that conversion looks like for the specific institutions that you are applying to. So if you know that you are applying to UGA, I would go ahead and look up what their conversion looks like. You know you're applying to Ole Miss, I will go ahead and look up what their conversion looks like so you can get an idea of what number they would come up with. Please know that that number will change from institution to institution. It is not a universal number. Here's another kind of announcement of sorts, honor cords. So we always talk about honor cords just at the beginning of the senior year. We don't want anybody caught off guard when we get to the end of the first semester, because that is when we determine who our honor graduates are and who will receive an honor cord. Students who have an average of a 96 or above will be listed as summa cum laude. Those students who are 92 and above for their cumulative average, this is a cumulative average, that means the entire time of high school, they will be listed as magna cum laude. And then the students who have an 88 or above, they will be cum laude. This will be in the program at graduation. I want to remind you that numeric averages, just like GPAs, do not round. So if a student has an 87.999, it will be an 87.999, and they will not earn the cum laude designation for graduation. So it's really important that you kind of see where you stand right now for your cumulative average. Again, you can find that under documents on the Infinite Campus app to kind of see what your cumulative average is. And so you kind of know where you're headed as it relates to you receiving an honor cord at the end of the first semester. Okay, so now let's turn our attention to after high school. So now we're at, I'm sorry, I said after high school, but we really need to talk about the senior year. So the senior year, what should students be doing? Okay, so you should have investigated options after high school, narrowed down your list of schools to which you're going to apply. You should have taken at least one SAT or ACT test if necessary for where you're going to apply. You need to begin working on your applications if you have not already done so. You also want to create a timeline for the application process and write down dates and deadlines so that you can get yourself organized, because this is a very big process that you're getting ready to go through. Now, if you have not done those things, or if you are not in the place that I just talked about, that's fine. Don't panic. There's still some time for you to research some colleges. You can use the portal, the Naviance portal, to begin to do some more research about colleges, to schedule some college visits if you're still trying to shore up where you're going to apply. You're going to be able to look at the college websites to kind of figure out between some colleges that you are trying to decide which ones are best for you. You can look at two-year colleges, some ways to save money. You also can start signing up for the next standardized test if you do not already have a test, or if you do not have the scores that you need, as well as looking for scholarships. There's still time to do those things. Okay, so now we're going to talk about post-secondary. So in our effort to discuss post-secondary plans, which just means what are we going to do after high school, the district has added a task in Naviance. So if you have not gone into Naviance, you may not know what I'm talking about. If you have gone into Naviance, you may have seen up in the top portion of the to-dos, you will see this task listed, the Senior Post-Secondary Plan Survey. All they want to know is what your plans are after high school. Like, where are you right now with that notion? What is your intention once you leave high school? We're going to use this information. The data is going to come back to us, and we'll be able to help understand, or it will help us understand what kind of resources we might need for our students. It will help us with our planning to see whether or not we need to add some programming in, or if we need to follow up with the student. So this data is going to be super important for us for trying to give the best service that we possibly can for our students. So if you have not yet seen this task in your Naviance account, please log into Naviance and complete this task as soon as possible. I don't think it takes very long. We just want to make sure that we have all of our students covered. So please go ahead and get that done as soon as you can. Okay, so when we talk about post-secondary options, we did begin this discussion last year. There are lots of choices. Many of our kids will leave our high school and go on for post-secondary education. Post-secondary meaning after high school, some type of education, either a four-year college or a two-year college. That is why we spend so much time talking about how that application process works. But we do recognize that there are several options that kids can consider after high school, which would include a gap year, going to the military, entering the workforce, doing apprenticeships. All of those things are post-secondary options. The district has actually put together a brochure to help people, or help students who are interested in one of those post-secondary options that I just named. It looks like the picture that you see here. There is a link at the bottom that says options after high school, and that is a more extensive showing of all of the options and resources to help you with that. I would like to encourage anyone that thinks that they may be interested in a post-secondary option that is not planning for college, not planning for a two-year school or technical school, to come in to see their counselor so that we can begin to gather resources and support you in that endeavor as well. All right, so now let's try to turn our attention to the application process. Like I said, we've got a lot of students that are going to begin this process uh, next week. And so we want to try to make sure that everybody understands what to do, how to do it, where to go. And so I'm going to spend some time on that now. Okay, so what I want you to be thinking about when we apply to college, we always say, oh, did you turn in your application? We probably shouldn't refer to it that way, because when we are talking about applying to college, what we really want to talk about is creating a admissions file. You're going to turn in the required documents for the admissions office to evaluate you as an applicant. So that includes a number of things. The application is only one part of it. So if we look at the application, that's over here on the left on this little diagram here. And that's why we've got that little folder there, because the application is one part of the file, but you also have the fee or a fee waiver if you're submitting one, the transcript. Sometimes a teacher recommendation is required, the counselor rec or school report if it's required, the ACT scores or SAT scores. All of those documents support the file that colleges will use to determine whether or not you are eligible for them to accept you. So the process that we discuss is you gathering all of those documents or getting them submitted to the college so that you can be considered for entrance. Okay, so what are some of the colleges looking for? We usually talk about colleges and what colleges are looking for, like they're all looking for the same thing, and that is definitely not true. It totally depends on the college. Sometimes their applicant pool, sometimes their the rank of the college, how that sometimes determines how extensive their process is. So some colleges will be just using some objective factors like grades, the courses that you've taken, how rigorous those courses are. Sometimes they're going to be looking at your test scores, your SAT scores, your ACT scores, and that just might be it. It might simply be numbers. There are lots of colleges that will fall into that category. Then you will have some colleges who will be a little more extensive in their application process, and they will include more subjective kind of factors like the essay that you might have to write, letters of recommendation, whether that be from the teacher, whether that be from the counselor, extracurricular activities that you're involved in. That could be sports, it could be clubs, it could be community things, volunteer hours, leadership roles that you've had, your resume, interviews, portfolios, your demonstrated interest in that particular school, and then SAT-2 tests sometimes are considered. So when you are actually applying, there are different types of application processes. So some of them have a higher level of commitment, and some will bind you to that application agreement. There are different times that colleges will take in students. So we usually refer to that as the regular time frame is usually referred to as regular decision. So that's when they're going to take in the bulk of their students in many cases. So when we talk about a regular decision, college or the regular decision time frame rather, the students are going to submit their applications by a specific date, and then they're going to receive a decision at a certain period of time. They usually will give you a time frame that they're going to release their decisions. That is usually a non-binding commitment, meaning you could apply to several colleges and then they make a decision on you, and then later you decide which college you're going to go to. There are some colleges that have rolling admissions. That means that they are going to be doing applications or processing applications on a rolling basis. Sometimes that means that they're going to be making decisions every 3-4 weeks, some of them every 6 weeks. So, but they will be continuously enrolling students until they fill up. That is also a non-binding commitment. There are some colleges that offer early action. So early action students are able to receive a decision well in advance of the institution's regular response date, but that is a non-binding process. Now, some more restrictive application processes would include early decision. So a student that chooses to go early decision is kind of determining that this is their first choice school. And so they are making a commitment that if they are admitted to that college, that they are going to attend. There may be a few moments where they will, or a few considerations for a student to come out. Usually it is financial, where the college will let them out of that commitment, but you really need to read the binding statement to understand what you are agreeing to. There is restrictive early action as well. And in this case, this is non-binding. Students will be able to determine that this is a school that they are really interested in, and they may be restricted from applying to from applying to other colleges rather, for early decision or early action. Sometimes this is a school that is that's having you apply early because they're considering you for scholarship. So you'll want to look at something like that. They may ask that you apply early in the process so that you are eligible for some of their top scholarships. That is a non-binding. So one rule of thumb, if you have to sign something, then you're probably signing a binding statement. Okay, so you heard me talk about that graphic earlier where I talked about the application. That was one document that has to go in. And then you also have transcripts. That's another document that has to go in. Okay, so how do you get these documents? So the college application itself, you're going to get that through the college's website. If you use Naviance, Naviance will help you link to the college's website. You could also just Google the college and you will see, you'll be able to Google and put in undergraduate admissions and you'll be able to find the application. Other places that you can go is the Common App, the Historically Black Colleges and University Common App, the Black Common Application, the Coalition application. You're going to submit your application on the site that you have selected, whether it is Common App or directly to the institution. You're actually going to pay for your application on that website as well. You need to make sure that you've completed any supplemental documents that they've asked for, like the essay, the portfolio, any of those things. You need to make sure you've submitted directly to the college. You don't do any of that stuff with the high school. You do that directly with the college. In many cases, you have to create an account and you're going to complete your application in that account. Test scores. So if you have taken a test like the SAT or the ACT, you had to actually go to that company's website, act.org, collegeboard.org, and you had to register for that test. When it is time to send your scores, if you did not select for those scores to automatically be sent to the colleges of interest, then you will have to go back to those particular companies' websites and you will have to request that your scores be sent to the colleges now. That is not something that we can do for you at the high school. It is not something that exists on the transcript at all. You have to go to those companies to have that information sent. Okay. Counselor letters of recommendation. So counselor letters of recommendation, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in another slide, but you will get that from the high school and that will come through Naviance. I will explain that in a little bit. Just so you know, that is something that you'll ask for at least 10 school days in advance. You will also have to submit a document, which I'll explain, called the senior profile, in order for us to have the information we need to write a letter of support for you. Teacher recommendations. So you will make that request for your teacher recommendation through the Naviance account. All the teachers have a teacher desk, which is a dashboard of sorts in the Naviance program that they can submit their letters of recommendation for you, and then it will be sent out through the system on your behalf. Transcripts. So you will make your request for transcript through the Naviance program. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about college visits. So you will register for college visits. We have them virtual, and we will also be doing them face-to-face now. You will be able to log into ClassLink, choose the Naviance app when you get into ClassLink, and then in the top menu bar, choose the college that you are interested in seeing. Scroll down and choose college, and then scroll down to college visits in that box. You'll see all of the colleges that are coming in to visit with us. All the students have 7 on-campus visits per year that are allowed. You need to make sure that you email your teacher to get permission to miss class, because sometimes when the colleges are coming, it might be during your class time. So you'll have to decide whether or not you can miss class or if it is at a convenient time for you. Please remember that many colleges will still be offering virtual tours and access to their reps in a myriad of ways. Now that, we've gone through this big experience where we've had to do a lot of things from home, you will see that the colleges are being very creative in being able to get information out to students. So if you find that the college is coming on campus, is not convenient for you, I want you to then go to the college's website to look for other opportunities to learn more about that college. You want to make sure you do your research. If you have signed up for a college visit, you want to come prepared to be able to ask informed questions so that you can talk intelligently to the representative, because many times the person that is coming here to visit with you and talk to you about their college, that actually is the rep that may be reading your application when you submit it. College visit dates, we do post on the Naviance portal, and if you go to your homepage, you will see colleges that are coming through are going to be, or the colleges that are coming up soon. They will be on a little scrolling portion of your homepage, and I'll show you where that shows up. So off-campus visits. Students are allowed 6 pre-approved absences from school, which can be used for college visits as well as other purposes. So if you are doing a face-to-face visit at the college, you want to go and pick up a pre-approved form in the attendance office with Ms. Balza. If you're doing a virtual visit, you're just going to send an office note from the an official note rather from the college to the attendance office. NACAC, which is the National Association of College Admissions and Counseling, they have a virtual fair. So this will be an opportunity for you to see multiple colleges in one place. There are a couple of dates that are coming up: September 11th, October 9th, and November 6th, which are all on the weekend. You can log in, or register rather, by going to the link that I have listed here below and register for those opportunities. All right, so we're going to touch just real quick on paying for college. Okay, so we have a financial aid event coming up. It is going to be November 2nd at 5:30 p.m. and it is going to be an online event. And we will have the Georgia Student Finance Commission coming to talk to us about financial aid. Oh, I want to point out that this icon that is here where it says FAFSA checklist, even though it says 2122, this is the FAFSA checklist that they used last year. It is very, very good. The link that is listed here will take you to the full PDF that will help you walk through that process. So I would encourage you to make sure that you click on this link if you want to get started on that process, and it will help you walk through all of the things you need to do. Remember, when you do the FAFSA form, there are a number of documents that you need to pull together. Your Social Security number, your parents' tax returns, W-2s, other records for money earned, bank statements, records of investments, records of untaxed income, if applicable, as well as your financial aid ID, which you can sign on electronically to get. You want to create a FAFSA ID. That's what I just talked about. And this link will help you create one. Remember to check the financial aid page for each of the colleges that you're interested in. Some of those colleges will ask for the CSS profile, which this is the link that takes you to that. That is a much more extensive kind of financial picture for the contributors to your financial support. So some colleges, many of the private colleges will ask for the CSS profile. So you want to make sure that you have checked to see if that form is used. The net price calculator for the financial aid website for each college, that will help you understand the true cost of attending the college. So that's really important for you to do. Make sure you know the deadlines for the financial aid office at the schools you're interested in. That's just going to help you know when you need to have your forms in to secure any monies that the college might be offering to you. Also, make sure that you are being careful and you are going to the government sites for doing FAFSA. There are some imposters out there. I would advise you to use the Georgia Student Finance Commission's website. That is going to help you stay within the government website so that you don't end up with one that you shouldn't be on, or that may not be the site that you would want to be on. I neglected to mention that the opening date for FAFSA is October 1st. So you will not be able to do anything related to FAFSA until the October 1st deadline. But after that point, you will be free to begin the FAFSA form. And again, we will have Georgia Student Finance Commission here in November to help you understand that process and help you get through that. So scholarships. There are different types of scholarships. There are scholarships that are offered through the institution itself, the colleges, for example. There are usually listed on the financial aid website for the college or university. There are local scholarships, meaning like organizations that are in our local community. Sometimes your employer may offer scholarships. You can get scholarships through banks. Maybe you're a part of Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, your church group, any service organizations that your parents are a part of or that you are a part of. They oftentimes will offer scholarships. They are oftentimes smaller scholarships, but if you have multiple ones, you can then begin to collect monies that will support you in getting your education covered. National scholarships tend to be much bigger scholarships as far as the award that is given. Some of the more popular ones are the Coca-Cola Scholarship, the Hispanic Scholarship Fund, QuestBridge, the Gates Foundation. They offer really huge award amounts, but because they are national, that means that you are competing nationally with a larger group of kids that are also trying to secure those funds. The Academic Common Market, we want to just put this on here because the Academic Common Market isn't necessarily something that a lot of people know about. That is the Southern Regional Educational Board's Academic Common Market, oftentimes just referred to as SREB. This is an exchange that is done, it is mostly Southeast states, and they have an exchange that is offered between those states. They have agreements rather for certain programs from our state to the given state that will allow you to have in-state tuition. I put the link here where you see it says Academic Common Market. That is an actual link. If you will click on it, it will take you to the page that will allow you to put in our state and then put in programs of interest, and it will tell you what college will accept you for the Academic Common Market. That's a great way to get some good value for your money and to lower the cost of college. So just check it out. You might be surprised. I also want to mention that the scholarship link on Naviance also is a place for you to be able to do some research for scholarships, as well as the College Board's website. Georgia College 411. I'm sorry, not Georgia College 411, Georgia Futures, as well as Princeton Review. Those are some of the more common scholarship websites that you can go to. All right, so let's talk about the HOPE GPA. So HOPE GPA, I'm hoping that you all have been going onto the Georgia Futures website and you have been monitoring your HOPE average as you've gone along. So remember, the HOPE scholarship is cumulative. So that means it's everything you've done while you've been in high school, not the middle school stuff. There are lots of rules for how you qualify for the HOPE scholarship, but it will go the entire course of you being in high school. So this will run until you actually graduate. So basically, the HOPE GPA the HOPE scholarship requires that you have a 3.0 GPA. That you have at least 4 rigor points, and we have actually put the link here for the list of the rigor courses that count. I don't want anybody really freaking out about the rigor points because we have a lot of them built in, but you do want to check to just make sure that yours are covered. Again, go to the documents portion of your or of the Infinite Campus app and look at your transcript, and then you can look at the rigor list and see whether or not you have these rigor points covered. Be mindful that because it goes to the end of the senior year, you must include the senior schedule in the rigor that you're looking at. Remember that 7 points are removed for honors, AP, and dual enrollment classes, and then an additional weight of 0.5 is given for AP classes and dual enrollment classes only. So there are some more details about the HOPE scholarship. We put the link down here. If you are looking for your most or your latest HOPE average, we did load them in June. We will not do any additions, which would include the summer classes that were taken. That information will not be available until mid-September. We have to make sure that all the transcripts are cleaned up and before they are loaded into the Georgia Student Finance Commission's website. And then once we've been able to do that, we will make them available to that website so that you will be able to see any updates that have taken place between June and now. All right, the Zell Miller Scholarship. So HOPE was 3.0, Zell Miller is 3.7. Also, there are test scores that are required for the Zell Miller Scholarship. A minimum of 26 as a composite score for the ACT, and then a minimum of 1,200 for a single administration of the SAT test. You have to send your scores directly to Georgia Student Finance Commission. Remember, I said you have to go to those private companies and get your scores sent. You want to send them directly to the Georgia Student Finance Commission. You will see directions for how to do that on the Georgia Futures website. Or you have to graduate from an eligible high school, and be the valedictorian or salutatorian of your class. You also need to complete the FAFSA form or the GSFAPS, which is I'll explain that a little bit more, which is the Georgia Student Finance Commission's application. More details about the Zell Miller Scholarship is in this last little link that is here where it says click here. All right. So you hear people talk about HOPE Scholarship, you hear people talk about Zell Miller Scholarship, but there's also the HOPE Grant as well as the Zell Miller Grant. So these grants are set aside for students who are interested in seeking a certificate or a diploma at one of our technical schools. Students do not have a minimum GPA requirement. They do have a minimum GPA that they have to maintain once they get to the college to maintain that. But there are details for what makes the distinction between the two of them if you will click on the link that is at the bottom. Okay, so lots of people will say, okay, that's great. You're telling me about the Hope Scholarship, Zell Miller Scholarship. How much money do I get? So I put in a little slide here that has a link where it says award amounts. That will take you to a website that will actually tell you how much money you will get by institution. So that will let you link into Georgia Student Finance Commission, where they have an interactive chart that lets you put the institution in there, and they will tell you how much it covers by the type of award that you're asking for or you're interested in. Okay. More details about the Hope Scholarship, Hope Grant, and all of those things at the financial aid night that is coming up in November. All right, so some other important things. I want you guys to take a picture here. So go ahead and snap a picture, or you can wait till you can reference this again when it is posted at the beginning of the year. These are just some important details that may be asked on applications over and over again. So you'll want to know how many kids are in the class. It's 477. You want to remember that we do not report rank. We don't give percentile, decile to students or parents or colleges. Valedictorian and salutatorian are not reported until after the first semester grades are posted, rather. The numeric grade, or a numeric average rather, is weighted and on a 100-point scale. And then we offer 20 honors classes rather, as well as 30 AP classes. I already mentioned this, but the SAT and ACT, you can register for upcoming dates. We've went ahead and put the links to those particular institutions for making those registrations here on this slide, as well as test prep information can be found by using this website, and these are some of the partners that we have. Okay. So for some kids, they may need to seek out an application waiver. There is a criteria for qualifying for an application waiver. If you are using the Common App, you may apply directly using that portal for the waiver. Some colleges will have their specific requirements for how you obtain the waiver. You may have to contact them. You may have to get a certain code. So you want to make sure that you go to that school's website and understand how their waiver process works. If you qualified for a waiver for the SAT or the ACT, that actually will qualify you in many cases to receive a waiver from the college. So when you qualify for that waiver, you needed to look at the details for the waiver, and it will show you how many colleges you actually will be able to apply for under that waiver process. Go back to it if you didn't remember what that entailed. You should be able to go right back to where you got the waiver at that particular institution, ACT or SAT. We also have NACAC to get those waivers and see whether or not you also qualify for a college application waiver, or if you need to do a different process. Here are some of the criteria that students have to meet in order to be eligible for a waiver. Okay, college-bound athletes. So students that are planning on participating in a Division I or Division II college athletic team, they need to make sure that they are registered with the NCAA clearinghouse. So you need to make sure you've done your registration, that you've gone to the website, the NCAA clearinghouse.net, and then you want to have your parents do the release form, and that needs to go to Miss Kim Hagan. And this is a way to contact her. That's her email address that's there, or you can go to the main office to talk to her about requesting your transcript. When you are taking the SAT or the ACT, you need to enter 9999 for scores to be sent to the NCAA so that they can review you for eligibility. Remember, the NCAA requirements may differ from our graduation requirements. The counselors, we don't keep up with NCAA. You can direct your questions though to Mr. Short or Coach Short. He will be able to help you because he is our athletic director. All right, so circling back, we've got to make sure that we are trying our best to have an organized way of processing our documents through the counseling office. We want to kind of remind you that the school calendar kind of shuts down the office. When we are out for holiday, the counselors are not here. The counselors are not working. The teachers are not here and the teachers are not working. So we want you to kind of go ahead and plan out accordingly so that you can be mindful of some of the big deadlines that come with colleges. So one of the biggest ones is that October 15th deadline. You need to make sure that you submit all of your requests no later than September 30th. If it's the November 1st deadline, you need to submit your request no later than October 18th. December 1st deadline, students need to submit their request no later than November 10th. And then the deadline in the first week of January. So that could be January 1st, January 4th, January 5th. You need to make sure you've submitted your request in the early part of December. Remember, we're only here to the first 2 weeks of December, and we don't return until after or midweek, the first week of January. So you have to plan in advance. Please be mindful that these are major deadlines. So you're going to have a large volume of kids turning in their applications all at the same time. It will slow the process down. So you might turn your application in and you're like, well, I turned my application in, it's been 10 days. Right, you and 50 other people did it at the same time for the same counselor. So once we get to those big deadlines, you want to be mindful that it's going to drag the process down. We're going to do the best we can trying to space you guys out so that we can get those documents out in a timely manner. But we do ask for your patience. UGA's regular admissions deadline is January 1st. And then Georgia Tech's regular admissions deadline is January 4th. So those are big colleges for us. Those are two examples of deadlines that are going to happen while we are on vacation. So you need to make sure that you are paying attention and you get your application deadline or your application in the early part of December. The note down here just mentions that the teacher work days and holidays, they don't count as the days that we've asked you to make sure you get your documents in advance, the 10 days that we are talking about. Okay, some things to note. It's not efficient to use the Common App because a lot of people are going to use Common App. Common App is like a one application that can be used for multiple colleges. You may still have to do supplemental things, but so many people will choose, oh, I'll just do the Common App, but they really hadn't necessarily thought through, are all of my colleges on the Common App or how many colleges are on the Common App? It's not efficient to use the Common App or the coalition if you're only applying to one college that comes under those categories. And we say that because sometimes Common App will make you do more work than you would have done if you had done it directly with the college. So make sure that you're planning out exactly where you're going to apply before you begin to fill out these applications, because your time is really going to be precious and you need to be as efficient in this process as you possibly can. Not all colleges will utilize letters of recommendation. If they want a letter of recommendation, they will ask for it. We will only submit letters of recommendation if the college requires it. Many of the colleges will ask for a school report. And so we will be doing school reports. If they ask for a letter of recommendation, we will give you a letter of recommendation. If they ask for a school report, we will do the school report, which the school report is like a stat sheet on you. So we will be filling those things out as the college asks for them. And there are some colleges that don't even ask for a school report. All they need is a transcript from us. Letters of recommendation are only submitted directly to the institution or to the scholarship organization. Please don't ask us to give you a letter of recommendation for you to turn into the college. We will only submit them directly to the college or the institution themselves. The same is true for teachers. You need to make sure that The teacher is submitting their documents directly through the Naviance portal. That is how we submit them to the institutions. Counselors do not manage teacher recommendations. That will go directly to them through the Naviance program. So if you have some questions about whether or not your teacher has submitted their letter of recommendation, you should be able to see it in Naviance. But if you have some concerns, please go directly to your teacher. I'm so sorry. At the end of the year, seniors are going to complete a senior exit survey. That's a district requirement. In there is going to be a place for you to indicate where your final transcript is going to go. I'm just putting this little plug in there for you to file in the back of your mind. Final transcripts mean I'm done with high school. Now that I've done, meaning like I've graduated, when my final grades become available, send them to this college. That means you've made a decision about where you're actually going to go. That happens at the end. So if you see something that talks about final transcripts, that's what they're referring to. I don't want you clicking the button asking for a final transcript and we're in the middle of the year, because then final transcripts are not available at that point. All right, so let's talk about Naviance. So we already showed this little graphic here. And what you can do in Naviance would include the application, because the link for the application you can get through Naviance. And because of that, you can also do the application fee or submit the fee waiver. The transcript, you can make your request for your transcript inside of Naviance. Your teacher rec form will also be something that you can request through Naviance. And then the counselor report, that can be done through Naviance as well. So it's a great tool for you to kind of have most things in one place. What we can't do is we can't do the SAT scores. We can't do the ACT scores. Those things can't be done through Naviance. You will actually have to go to those institutions to get that material done or submit it. Now, how do you get there? So you're going to access Naviance by going to the class link. So just like you go into Teams, you're going to log into class link. And then once you get there, you're going to look for the Naviance icon. So what is Naviance for? So you'll be using Naviance to request transcripts from your counselor, letters of recommendation, and then your teacher recommendation. It's also going to be a tool for you to organize yourself. You'll be able to accurately track what you've done with your applications, whether or not your documents have been sent out. That includes your transcripts, your letters of recommendation. You'll also be able to indicate the status of the material or what's happened with your application. So whether you've been admitted or not admitted, you'll want to be able to track those things through Naviance. That's going to help you on at the end of the school year, where we will ask you to update those things. You'll want to make sure that you are keeping up with that, because your final transcript will not go out if you have not accurately indicated that you've been admitted to a school, where your final transcript's going to go. So you just want to keep up with those statuses inside of Naviance. In this presentation, or in the remainder of the presentation, I'm going to explain how you make these requests inside of Naviance so that everybody is on the same page and that you can get through this process smoothly. If you have not looked recently, and I say recently because you did use the Naviance program in the junior year, if you have not looked recently at the Naviance screen, when you log into Naviance, the home screen looks like this. You should have seen the announcement for the presentation tonight that's listed up there on the left-hand side. This is actually one of my students. This is the to-dos and tasks that's over here in the left-hand corner at the bottom. Shows the task that I was talking about that the district has listed for this senior post-secondary plan survey. And then up in this upper right-hand corner, the very top where the heart is, that's what we used last year, colleges we were thinking about. And if you're still in that early stage where you're still not sure, that's where you should be doing your exploration, is colleges you are thinking about. We don't want to move down into the colleges that you are applying to until you are sure that that is a college you are going to apply to. We want to keep them up here in the colleges you are thinking about until we are sure that we want to apply. Why? because you're going to create some confusion. If I, as your counselor, think that you are applying to a school, but you are not sure that you're applying to the school, I won't know the difference. If you have put it in your applying to category, I'm expecting that you are going to be submitting documents for that particular school. And if I don't see them, eventually I'm going to get concerned and I'm going to say, hey, where is this stuff? So rather than us have to go back and forth like, oh, I wasn't sure, I just put it in there, I was thinking I was going to apply, but I'm not going to apply. Let's just keep it over into colleges that we're thinking about until we're sure that we're actually going to apply to that school. And I'm going to just take a little side note here and say the same is true in Common App. And we're going to talk about how we do the Common App matches. Please don't click colleges in Common App because you might apply. Only put the colleges, click on a college in Common App if you are sure you're going to apply to that school. This bottom right-hand corner here, this is what you heard me talk about earlier about colleges that are coming up. You can see that the University of Georgia is going to be visiting our school on September 8th, that Syracuse is coming on September 12th, the University of Florida is coming on September 12th. So you will see the posting of colleges that are coming up. You'll be able to click right on them for more information and do the registration. So the Naviance program is used to help you find schools. You can use the Supermatch. We did that last year. Research colleges, apply to colleges, search out scholarship money, and then to do college visits. This is what we're going to be able to do through this first page here. Okay, so let's talk about the application flow. So students that are going to be doing Common App, those students are going to match their accounts in Common App. Make sure when you match your account, and we're going to talk about this, that you do not put your recommenders in the Common App until after August 1st. If you've done that, please go back and fix it. We want to try to avoid any problems with the matching of Common App because that is how many of our college or many of our students will do their applications, is using that platform. But if you do not do this match right, it will cause a headache for you and for me or your counselor. So we're going to do our match for Common App if we're doing the Common App process. And then we're going to add any non-Common App colleges that we're going to apply to and put that in Naviance. Then we're going to request application. We're going to request transcripts for the Common App and for non-Common App colleges through the Naviance student app or area. We will request teacher recommendations via the Naviance student portion of Naviance. You don't want to put your invitation for your teachers in Common App. Make sure you make your request in Naviance, and then you'll be able to track the status of your transcript and recommendations inside of Naviance. All right, so let's talk about the Common App and the matching process. So the first thing you've got to do is you need to create your Common App account. You're just going to go to commonapp.org and you're going to create an account there. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to match your Common App with the Naviance account in Naviance Student. Okay. You want to go to colleges you are applying to. Remember, not colleges I'm thinking about, but colleges I'm applying to. And then you want to select the hot pink button to match accounts. You're going to enter the same email. You're going to enter the email that you use for your Common App account. If you have not done your Common App just yet, you want to make sure that you write down what email address you're using, because if you use a different email address, it's not going to match. You need to confirm the birth date is correct. And then you want to select match accounts. Okay, we've listed a video here that will walk you through the entire thing. You need to make sure that you're following these steps. Do the very best you can to follow these steps. If you've already done Common App, now you need to match your accounts with Naviance. If you know you put the recommenders on there, go take them back out so that we don't have any problems later on. Okay, Don't put colleges in Naviance if you've already put them in Common App. We just want to match the accounts up, get them matched up first, and then we want to move forward with the process. Okay, so once you've matched your account, schools from your application list in Common App will feed into colleges that you're applying to list on Naviance. So anything you put into Common App is going to feed over into Naviance. That's why you don't want to have them in the other place, because sometimes they don't go in the other direction. Click a lot of buttons there. Okay, so this is just showing you what it looks like for trying to match your account. You need to make sure that you sign this FERPA agreement in order for your account to match. And then as it mentions down to the bottom here, it says match accounts. This is the button that you're going to hit, and it's going to allow your accounts to match up Common App and Naviance. This is reminding you about the email address. Okay, let me tell you here, do not use your school email address. Do not use your school email address. Outside organizations cannot access anything in the school's email address. That is only for inside of the district. So you need to use your personal email address for this. And then confirm your birth date there. And then you match your account. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is just a reminder. It's automatically going to feed into your colleges that I'm applying to list once you do that. And then you can request your transcripts and your letter of recommendation. All right, so how do you add colleges to your application list? You're going to come from the home screen and you're going to click on colleges I'm applying to. And then you're going to do the big pink circle there, which is that plus sign that you see here. And then you're going to search for the college that you're interested in applying to. You can update your decision type and then how you're going to apply. That's going to add your request. And then you can add your request for your transcript after you have done that. So on this side here, number 1, colleges you're applying to. And then over here, number 2, you're going to add the college there. Okay, so you want to make sure you indicate how you are applying to a particular college. That's going to help us with the tracking. So some colleges will accept applications through the Common App and then other methods as well. You need to update how you're actually applying. So you can apply to some colleges in 2 ways, in some cases 3 ways. So you want to make sure that you tell us how you actually did your application. If you're not applying to the college via the Common App, you need to select direct to institution. Okay. Okay, how do you request a transcript? So there's 2 ways that you can do this. So you want to go to the colleges I'm applying to list. And the first way that you can do it is just adding the plus sign to the new college that you've put down there. And then you can add the request to add the request for the transcript while you are adding the college itself. The second way to go is afterwards. You can go to the request transcript area, and then that will allow you to request a transcript for the college that is on your list. That is that big plus sign there. So you'll have your colleges already listed, and then you'll be able to go in and you will be able to request your transcript there. Okay, so how do you request a letter of recommendation from a teacher? So remember, you're going to do this through Naviance. Your counselor will not be able to do this for you. So letters of recommendation, some colleges ask for letters of recommendation to be submitted with your application. Not all colleges will ask for that. If you need a letter of recommendation, you'll be able to see it on Naviance. It'll show you whether or not you need that letter of recommendation. You're going to go to colleges you're applying to. You're going to select letter of recommendation. It's also written as LOR at the bottom of the list. and then you're going to add the request and select the recommender. Select the college the request is for. Okay, so listen, you need to be very specific about the colleges, who you want the recommendation for, because many colleges have a limited number of recommendations that they will take. So if you've asked 5 people to write a letter of recommendation for you, but you are not specific about which recommendations go to which college, then whoever turned in the application first, that's what's going to go. So you need to be very specific, because you might need to ask 5 people because the institutions might be different. They might be asking for different recommendations from different people, and you might have a different relationship with the people that you're asking for. So you might ask them for different reasons. That's fine, but you need to be very specific when you are asking for your recommendation, who the recommendation is coming for, so that the system is only accepting the recommendation for those specific people for that particular college. Also, you want to maybe go ahead and just contact the teacher and say, hey, can you write a letter of recommendation for me, so that the teacher has a heads up that you're going to make that request. Teachers are super busy. They're teaching every day. So sometimes, they've got to make time to sit down and write for you. So just go by and say, hey, I'm going to ask you for a letter of recommendation. Do you think you can support me? So that you know, and they know that, okay, something is coming. And then you know that they feel like they can support you in a letter of recommendation. Then you go ahead, once you put that request in, you're going to submit request, and then you're going to select request and finish. Ooh, I'm sorry. Remember, you need to give your teachers 10 days to make that letter or create that letter of recommendation for you, 10 days prior to the deadline. Okay, so your letter of recommendation from your counselor and the counselor and the transcript choice form. I'm going to cover both of those now. So to do the letter of recommendation from your counselor, if you need a letter of recommendation, we're going to write one for you, but we do need some information. So there is a senior profile that has to be completed. I know a lot of you guys have made resumes. That's awesome. You're going to use that in your application, not to give to the counselor. The counselor needs some specific information, and we know exactly what we would be looking for. You want to fill out the senior profile, which is inside of Teams as an assignment. Okay. I want to save you guys some time. If you know that you're applying to a college or colleges and none of them need a letter of recommendation, don't spend time filling out this form. This takes a long time to do. Look to see if the colleges that you're interested in really need a letter of recommendation. Otherwise, you've spent time filling this thing out, and you could have actually just been working on your application itself. So if we see that you need a letter of recommendation, the first thing we're going to do is hop over to Teams to see if you have a senior profile in there. You don't have a senior profile in there, you're still in the queue. We can't do anything with that. Okay, so let's talk about the choice form. Okay, so this is something that started last year. I want to tell everybody that standardly, when we send out a transcript, it is going to be a weighted cumulative average that's going to go out. That's what's going to show up on your transcript, is the weighted numeric average. You do have a choice to ask for an unweighted average. Now, when you ask for the unweighted average, both will show up on the transcript. You're going to actually see both. It is the same as what you're going to see if you're in Infinite Campus and you look under documents for transcripts. The transcript that comes up, you'll notice in that top left-hand corner that it says weighted and unweighted. If you come in and you fill out a choice form, we will send that version, an official one, because what you have in Infinite Campus is unofficial. We will send that version to the college. But when you ask for that, you need to ask for it before you ask for any transcript requests or put any transcript requests in the system, because we will simply be processing. We don't have time to stop to see, hey, did she turn in a form? Because if you turn a form in, it's going to go to our records coordinator, Ms. Movisia, in the counseling office. And once you've submitted that form, she is automatically going to upload the unweighted/weighted transcript for you. So when we go to process, because afterwards, that's when you're going to make your transcript request. When we go to process, it's already going to be in Naviance, and that is what we're going to process for you. All right, I hope that was clear for everybody. Otherwise, if you don't need an unweighted average, you don't need an unweighted numeric average, then you don't need to do anything. This is just an opt-in for that particular type of transcript. If you're fine with the weighted average, which is what we normally send, then you don't need to do anything. Just make your transcript request. Okay, so how do you track your submissions? So you're going to be able to track your submissions by going to colleges you've applied to. Then you're going to check the transcript column to review when the counselor has submitted a transcript. So if the transcript has been sent, it will say sent. You'll actually, I think, also be able to see the date. I'm going to ask the counselors to clarify. Can one of you jump on? I can't remember. Can they see the date?
I'm sorry,
submitted?
the date for when it was
I believe
submitted.
they can see.
Yeah.
I think they can see the date.
Okay, perfect. So you'll be able to see that it's submitted for sure, and then you'll be able to see the date. This is a screenshot of someone's submissions there. So if it says pending office materials, that means it has not been sent. Check the office materials column to review when the staff member has indicated that all the materials have been sent. Now, this is something I want to tell you. When we send the transcript, that doesn't mean that the college is going to instantly upload that information into their database. If you can see that it has been sent, that means it's available to the college. You might have to turn around and call them and say, hey, I wanted to just make sure that you all have uploaded my information into your database. I can see that it has been sent from my college. Miss Chilson's got her hand up.
I also was gonna say, along with this, until you have actually submitted your application, the college receives nothing.
That's right. That's right. So the application really needs to be the first thing that you try to get out the door. If we are sending transcripts, it's kind of holding because you don't exist to the college. You don't exist until you have turned in an application. So you need to go ahead and get your application out, because it's just going to be sitting out there waiting for you to exist to the college, for it to have something to attach to. Thank you for that, Ms. Chilson.
My pleasure.
This is just
Chick-fil-A.
This is another example of how to see whether or not the transcript has been submitted. So you'll want to watch this column. This is one that has gotten that got a couple of people tripped up. I got a couple of phone calls from some parents last year, like, well, he said he turned in a transcript. I'm trying to figure out why the college is saying they don't have it. And then I log into Naviance and I say, well, yeah, no, he's never made a request. So make sure you're watching that transcript area to see. You may have done the application and thought, oh, I'm finished. Yeah, the application's in and you've indicated that you applied to the school, but you actually didn't click the request transcript button to actually ask for the transcript. You have to do that. Okay, so again, if it says that it's been submitted, that's how you know that the counselor has turned in your documents or submitted what has been asked for from the counseling office. When we turn in a letter of recommendation, the transcript will automatically go with it. And then, of course, if you need to request any more transcripts, you will hit that request transcript button, that little plus sign that's there. Okay, so tracking your LOR, remember the LOR is the letter of recommendation for the teachers. So again, you're going to go to the colleges you're applying to, you're going to select letters of recommendation and at the bottom of the list, and then you're going to check the status column. And that's how you're going to be able to see if the teacher has submitted your letter of recommendation. Again, go by and see your teacher. Please, please, please be very patient with your teachers. Send them a nice little reminder when you get closer to your date. Say, hey, I want to just send you a little thank you for submitting my my letter of recommendation. Now, you might know that the teacher hadn't sent the letter of recommendation, but that's your nice little reminder that the deadline's coming up, and they'll be like, oh, yes, that's right. And they're going to pop that letter out for you. So just try to be mindful, watch your deadlines. Many of your teachers, it's the same teachers writing letter of recommendations for multiple students. So just be very cognizant of what your deadlines are and try to send a nice little reminder if you're getting close to the deadline and you can see that your information has not been processed. Okay, adding scholarships to your list. So same thing, you actually from the homepage can go to the scholarship list and then you can look for the scholarship name to view the specifics about that scholarship. Then you can add it to your applications and then select the National Scholarship Search for a listing of national scholarships. We are going to probably have a lot more scholarships listed in Naviance this year because we've got someone working on that at the district level. So in addition to the other websites that I mentioned that you could go to, you're going to see more scholarships show up inside of Naviance this year. All right, so some closing thoughts about college applications. You can go ahead and be working on your applications now. Okay, work on your essay prompts. Even if you're not planning on doing your or turning in your application into your regular decision time frame, you want to try to space things out as much as you can because, of course, you've got homework, you've got other activities that you're involved in. So don't wait till the last minute. Don't wait till your mom's on your back. Don't wait till your dad's on your back. Don't wait till you get grounded. Go ahead and start working on your applications now. And if you do it early enough, you might be able to get someone to read your essays, okay? Send your applications when you have completed all the parts. Go ahead and send them out. You don't need to wait for anyone to send out the applications. Every year I have a kid say, well, I finished my application. I was just waiting on my teacher's recommendation. Nope. Or I finished my application. I was waiting on my test scores. Nope. You send the application. They're simply not going to process you until they get those other items. If you sent the transcript, but you didn't do the application, they're not going to do anything with the transcript. They're not even going to accept it. It's just going to stay and hold. If you send your application and then you didn't send your test scores, well, they're still not going to do anything with it. You have to finish out that full file until they get everything. So if you finish the application, go ahead and submit it. Then get the rest of your documents in. Make sure that you have touched base with Ms. Hagan if you are a athlete. Make sure you've done that. Check your email from any messages from us because we will be sending things through Naviance. Sometimes I'll go through and I'll notice that several of my kids haven't turned something in, and I will begin to email you through the Naviance email, as well as the other counselors trying to prompt you like, hey, I need you to get this going. Check your college accounts for your application status. Your colleges will not call you. You need to make sure you're checking the accounts. You cannot just wait until the deadline because you might, or wait to see if everything is completed. You should be checking your status because they might be letting you know that, hey, you didn't turn something in and we are not getting ready to process your application. So make sure that you're checking until you see all check marks, if that's how they're doing it, or that you are responding to any emails that you've gotten from them that you are missing any items. Okay, some Naviance tips, because we had some stuff get real crazy last year with Naviance, so we want to try to avoid any pitfalls if we can. Again, don't use your Fulton County email. That means the student email. If it starts with your lunch number, don't use that email address to do your college applications. Nothing can get into that email account from an outside organization. So make sure you're using a personal email address. But when you do that, make sure the email address is an appropriate one. I don't want to see anybody send a Daffy Duck at gmail.com, have that as your email address. This is a serious process. You want them to take you seriously. Make sure you have an appropriate email address that represents you well to the colleges. Outside recommenders. Okay, so listen, outside recommenders can't go through Naviance. There's no way to do it. We've already asked, we've already tried. It does not work. Naviance is only for inside of this school. If you had a teacher that wanted a letter of or that you wanted to get a letter of recommendation from, they cannot go through Naviance. Now, if you've done Common App, you might be able to put that representative that recommender in the Common App, like the account itself, but you can't go through Naviance, so you won't be able to track it through the Naviance account. There's no way around that. When you are requesting the teacher recs, be sure to individualize what recs are to be sent to what college. So I already mentioned that. Just make sure that you are not doing that generically so that you get the recs in the place that you want to have them, or get them from the teachers you want to get them from. All right. So we're going to have a college help day to help you guys out. October 4th in the media center. That's going to be a work session for anybody that needs help. You're stuck, you got some questions, you're not sure what to do. You can come on that day to get some help from us, October 4th. All right, so we have put these links here for you to do a senior check-in with us. That's what I mentioned earlier. It's just a 10-minute session. We are going to give you the option to decide whether you do it online or face-to-face. Some of you guys we know are off campus. Sometimes your parents want to be a part of the conversation, so you can select whether or not you do an online appointment or if you do a face-to-face appointment. If you do an online appointment, we will send you the link after you make the request. All right, the chat's still open. Do you have any questions? I'm going to ask the counselors to jump in here and tell us if they saw any trends, anything we need to kind of address at the end of the meeting here.
Lots of questions about outside recommenders. I would just definitely recommend to look back at the pinned post that Ms. Chilson responded to at the top.
Okay.
And then the senior check-ins meeting, that is, preferred that the student should be the one making the meeting. And also not to make multiple meetings. So if your student makes their meeting, everybody that wants to be part of that needs to come at that same time that the senior has selected.
And this meeting will be posted on our website, on our counseling website, as well as I'm sure that counselors will also post it on their teams.
And then we just got a question in, and Ms. Johnson, you can answer this about this guest, Karen, asked, what is the graduation date? And that's always kind of complicated. So maybe you can explain that.
So right now we have a tentative date, which the principal has asked me not to publish because it is tentative. We need to be a little closer to the date to make sure that we don't get bumped for the date that they have that they're identifying. So it's usually the week before school ends. It's somewhere in there. It's been like Tuesday or Wednesday, but we don't have a definitive date that I can give you at this point. I'm sorry about that. It'll probably be closer to the beginning of the year, before like January, before we have a definitive date. Any other questions? I get it.
Through some of these.
I totally get it that, it is difficult with out of town guests. I think what we found is that people are more angry when we tell you a date and then we can't keep to the date. So that's why I'm trying to give you a time frame that it's usually a week before school ends. It will be in the middle of the week, though. I want to say that.
So Vivian Lee, you asked the question about your school email for Naviance. You're saying that you used your school email for Naviance a lot of years ago, but my personal for Common App. And the video that is posted, it shows exactly how to link, because you have to go to your Common App, log into Common App. It walks you through the whole process with the email. It is the email that you used for Common App. That's the one that you have to use to match it. So please make sure you watch the video for matching your Common App and your Naviance. That is really, really important.
And to tag onto that, Naviance is a single sign-on, so there shouldn't have been any point that any student would have used their school email for Naviance. You're not typing in your school email address and typing in a password. You're just in ClassLink going to the Naviance icon. So it's probably a better situation than I'm thinking you think it is.
And then about graduation, where will it be held? I don't even know if that's been determined yet, has it?
Well,
We had a new location last year, but
so they're looking at the same location, the Cobb Energy Center. That's the hope, is that we will be able to do it there. But again,
not Cobb, it was Gwinnett.
no, I'm sorry, Gwinnett.
Oh, yeah.
I see. I'm sorry.
Last year we were over in Gwinnett, where the Gladiators play.
That's right. Lord have
that's
mercy,
where
I'm
we
about
were
to say the
last
wrong
year.
thing.
Yeah.
So it right now the plan is the same location, but again, the principal does not feel confident enough to be able to announce that, because it is possible for that to change. So I have to wait until he feels like it is definite, so that we don't have anyone upset that we told them one thing and then it turns out to be something else.
And just know you can access this presentation on the counseling webpage. It will not be done tonight.
Nope.
It will probably be tomorrow. We'll also put it on the senior teams. So it will be uploaded in those spaces. Regarding the senior profile, that's a document that will be posted in the senior teams for the student to download a copy, save it to their own device, get it all filled out, and then they upload it as an assignment to their counselor. So their counselor, it's the only assignment that we pretty much give all year. And it's only necessary if you need an actual letter of recommendation. Again, lots of colleges do not require it. And lots of colleges only want like a school report form. If that's the case, you may not need to go through the hassle of filling it out.
Can I just say one more thing? I always encourage parents to assist their kids with the
Yeah.
application process, assist. But if you take over the process, it will put your kid in a situation where they don't have the information they need. Sometimes we've had to call colleges. They will not talk to the parent. They're going to talk to the kid, and he's got to be able to say what his account is and be able to get into the account. So make sure that you're helping with the application process, because it's a lot to do, but don't take it over so that he doesn't know what he's doing.
We've even had it where parents have done the whole application for the student, the whole deal, just like Miss Johnson was just saying. But then the college needs to get in touch with that student, and they're emailing, the parent put their email address in. They put all of their, they were the ones going to college.
Or their birthday or their social security number.
Yes, their social security number. Yes, that's happened.
Yeah.
So
just-
please make sure that, yes, it's good to help your student. They're gonna need help, but don't do the
Be
whole thing
careful.
for them.
Yeah, just be careful. That may not read well for the college, and it might put the kid in the wrong situation. So I just caution you to be careful there.
Pratissa,
Yes.
there's a question here. Sorry if I missed this from my previous, oh goodness. From my previous question, it says high school transcripts currently being sent out, or is there a date that they will start going out?
So
After Labor Day.
we always earmark the meeting to be the start of the process, and it's usually right before Labor Day. We're like one day shy of Labor Day. So Labor Day, when we come back, that is when we begin to look. None of us have even looked inside of that queue. We spend the time up to this point getting the schedule straight, cleaning up transcripts. We have brand new students to our building that we have to get in place to be able to apply along with the other students. Most of us said this at the junior advisement meeting. We've always encouraged you guys, if you're ready to start, you go ahead and start, but processing documents out through our system does not begin until after Labor Day.
There's one last question I think we haven't answered. A parent wants to know, I think it's a parent, after an application is submitted with test scores, can those test scores be updated with new scores? So I guess the short answer is yes. If for some reason a student has applied, sent one set of test scores, and they haven't yet received an answer from the college as far as an admissions decision, they are welcome to send another set of test scores, or if they're higher scores or whatever. It kind of does get a little bit tricky because depending on the school and depending on how quickly they're processing applications, it is possible that a school might deny a student if the test scores that they first got are not high enough. But if a student does submit another set of test scores that is high enough, the college may very well, reevaluate them. So anytime a student's sending a new set of test scores, I generally recommend that the student reach directly out to the college's admissions office and let them know, I've already said, there's a new set of test scores. I'd just like to be reevaluated with that.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not mention the super score. Venkata, thank you. So super scoring is when you send multiple scores, like 2 sets of scores from College Board, for example, and then the 2 sub scores will be put together for the super score. So you'll get the benefit of the highest scores for one sub score, and then the benefit of the highest score for a different sub score put together. So it could be that you took one test in May and that math section was higher than the one that you took in June, but in the June one, that verbal section was higher, and you're going to put those 2 together, and that's where the super score comes in. Okay. Any more questions? So remember, seniors, you have an opportunity to come in and meet with your counselor. So if you've got some burning things that are specific to you, that will be a good time to kind of talk with your counselor. We can get on the same page. We can kind of tailor some things that are going to help you with your particular situation. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. And thank you for your time. Please, anybody that you know that did not attend the meeting, would you please ask them to go ahead and check out the recording when we make it available next week, so that everybody is on the same page as we begin this process. Y'all have a great night. Thank you, counselors, for joining us. We will see you all soon.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks, y'all.